Welcome to Legal on Demand, powered by Maguire Legal. Conversations on law, business, and the decisions that matter. I'm Ida.
And I'm Sonia, and this is the first episode of our new mini-series requested by you, The Cost of Getting It Wrong, where we're breaking down a real case and what it costs an employer when things don't go to plan.
This will be an ongoing mini-series where we break down the cost of business from real case law examples. Stay tuned if you'd like to know why Toll was ordered to pay over $176,000 plus interest for getting a termination wrong. This case is Lord and Toll Transport Pty Ltd, a Federal Circuit and Family Court decision from 2026. We're dealing with a very senior employee at general manager level with over 34 years of service and earning around $235,000 per year.
So this wasn't a junior employee. It was someone embedded in the business with a long tenure and senior leadership role.
He was terminated and given 3 months' notice. And at the termination meeting, he was told the business was simply heading in a new direction under new leadership. He was also offered an ex gratia payment, but only if he signed a deed of release.
And importantly, he didn't sign it.
No, he did not. He brought a general protections claim under the Fair Work Act 2009, and his argument was that he had made complaints about workplace bullying and that his termination was because of those complaints.
Which is critical because under Section 340, you cannot take adverse action because someone exercises a workplace right, and that includes making complaints.
Here's where it gets interesting. The court actually found that the employer did not breach the general protections provisions.
So the employer successfully defended the claim that the termination was for a prohibited reason.
The evidence showed that the decision maker was focused on turning around a financially struggling business, improving the performance, and also changing leadership.
And that evidence was accepted. The court found the termination was for operational reasons and not because of the complaints.
This is the key point, because despite winning on general protections, the employer still lost. So where did it go wrong?
The issue wasn't why the employee was terminated, it was how the termination was carried out.
That's right. The court found that the employer breached the employment contract. Specifically, the notice period was inadequate. Crucially, the employment agreement itself did not specify any period notice, instead stating within the termination of employment clause, either you or Toll may terminate your employment at any time by giving blank months written notice.
The employer gave 3 months' notice, but the court found, given the employee's seniority, length of service, and remuneration, 12 months' notice was required.
That's a significant amount. So even though the contract didn't expressly say 12 months, the court implied a reasonable notice term.
And that's the risk. Employers often rely on what they think is standard notice. But for senior employees, the courts will look at what is reasonable in these circumstances.
The cost of getting it wrong was the employer was ordered to pay $176,250 in compensation for breach of contract plus interest.
So let's be clear. They successfully defended general protections claim, but still ended up paying a 6-figure sum.
This is where employers often get caught out. They focus heavily on getting the reason right,
but they overlook process and contractual obligations.
Because even if your reason is lawful, you can still be exposed if the notice period is wrong or contract terms are simply misapplied or even where the process is rushed.
The lesson from this case is simple. You can win the big claim and still lose the case.
And termination decisions need to be assessed across multiple layers.
So if you're making decisions about senior terminations, restructures, or leadership changes, this is where legal advice matters.
Because the cost of getting it wrong isn't always where you expect it.